idea of learning a language by watching movies and series sounds great, but deep down, you know it's not as simple as eating popcorn and waiting for the magical moment when you start understanding Japanese. Today I'll leave you with 8 suggestions to improve your language skills by watching movies and series without losing time or getting frustrated. I use them to learn English and Portuguese, but they apply to Spanish and other languages.
Number 1. Welcome spoilers.
Consider reading a summary of the movie before watching it. I know we try to avoid spoilers, but if your goal is learning a language, then this is not such a bad idea. Think about it. If you already know the plot, you'll be able to relax and focus on the dialogue, and if you miss anything, it's okay. You can keep watching without feeling that pressure to understand what's happening. Another option is to watch a movie that you have previously watched in your native language or that it's based on a book you've already read.
Number 2. Choose the content carefully.
I've heard many times that you should learn languages with contents originally designed for children. The idea is that this kind of content is easier to follow because it uses simpler vocabulary and grammar structures. Well, that may be true, but keep in mind that the way cartoon characters speak is not natural.
Too young! Too young to rule the kingdom! Watch your manners with the princess! What the huh?
The sound, the intonation, everything sounds fake and exaggerated. I think it's not the best language model you can follow. In addition, the topics covered in those shows may be relevant for children, but not for adults.
Bueno, pues tienes mucha suerte, porque sí tengo paletas en forma de dinosaurio.
Dinosaurio!
Thrillers, action movies and horror movies are not usually difficult to understand, but sometimes they have long periods without dialogue. So if you choose these genres, be patient and enjoy the movie, unless you enable AD. I'll talk about this powerful feature later in this video. Whatever you choose, remember that motivation is extremely important, and if you pick a piece of content you like, you'll be more likely to continue learning this way in the future.
Number 3. Use subtitles.
But do not use subtitles in your native language. I suggest watching movies in your target language with subtitles in your target language too. This is useful to learn how to pronounce what you are reading, even if you don't understand everything you are listening to. Watching a movie in your native language with subtitles in your target language is also possible. And if you happen to be learning 2 languages at the same time, consider watching a movie in your L2 with subtitles in your L3. It's quite challenging, but you can try.
Number 4. Use an app specially designed for this purpose.
There's a platform called Lingopie that makes your experience easier because it's specifically designed for learning languages by watching movies, series, and TV shows. In my opinion, the main advantage of using Lingopie is that you can click on the words or phrases you don't know, and it not only gives you an instant translation, but it saves that word or phrase for you to revise later. This is really useful because you'll be able to revise with flashcards, quizzes, and games without leaving the app. It even allows you to replay the moments where the words you are interested in are used.
Então vai embora e leva a sua amiga contigo.
Of course, it has many other features like auto-pause, control playback speed, loop sentences for repetition, analyzing grammar, navigation through the script, and more. And it has a really interesting catalog that includes short films, which I believe are a great choice for learning languages.
Hola, Enrique. ¿Estás ahí? Son las 10:45. Recién llego.
As Lingopie is sponsoring this video, I can give you a 7-day free trial and a special discount. Check the link below.
Number 5. Films dubbed into your target language.
If you watched my previous videos, you know that I've been doing a lot of research and experimenting with dubbing in different languages, and I found out that movies that were originally made in Spanish and dubbed into English were much easier to understand for me than those originally recorded in English.
just to see a little happiness on my father's face.
Nobody can control the weather. Nobody.
Yes, I know that.
But why does this happen? Well, I think the main reason is that original movies usually include the slang and different accents, while dubbed films tend to use a more standard or neutral language. In addition, dubbing is recorded in the studio and the mix is usually quite clear. The downside is that you are exposed to a variety of the language that may not be used much by real people in the real world, but it's still your target language after all. Before starting with AD, which is an extremely interesting topic, I want to say a special thanks to Brent, who became a member of this channel, Stephen, who is making monthly donations and buy me a coffee, Eric, who gave me a super thanks, and all of you who are supporting this channel by subscribing. Thanks a lot, all of you.
Number 6. AD.
Let's suppose you want to learn Spanish, and you find a Spanish movie on Netflix that looks interesting, but after 20 minutes, you discover that most of the time the main character is trying to survive, alone, in a container in the middle of the sea. You won't have much dialogue here. Don't worry, you can still use this movie to practice your listening skills. You just have to turn on the audio description.
Mia camina con dificultad dentro del contenedor inundado. Coge su móvil del suelo que tiene la pantalla rota. Intenta poner la contraseña, pero no lo consigue.
Audio description is originally designed for blind and visually impaired people, but talking with Blanca Arias from the Department of Translation and Language Sciences at Pompeu Fabra University, I understood its true potential.
Creo que las audiodescripciones tienen un lenguaje muy rico. Si escuchas una audiodescripción en inglés, vas a aprender léxico de, yo qué sé, adjetivos y unos matices que a lo mejor no oyes en diálogos en series. O sea, ponerse una audiodescripción, aunque tú no tengas baja visión ni ceguera, es un aprendizaje. Yo recomiendo a todo el mundo ponerse las audiodescripciones de Harry Potter.
Night. The rippling waters of Hogwarts Lake are surrounded by dark mountains. On the far side, a white marble tomb on a tiny island. A large marble block slides back, and two supports beneath it tumble away. The Dark Lord Voldemort leans down into the tomb. He gazes at the black Elder Wand in his hand and thrusts up his arm. A massive force of energy shoots from the tip of the wand, illuminating the dark sky.
Number 7. Imitation and shadowing.
Another thing you can do is select a scene and imitate characters. That way you can practice pronunciation, but also intonation and even gestures, that are also important if you want to learn a language variety in a more comprehensive way. A related technique is shadowing, that consists of repeating what the characters are saying while they are still speaking, with some seconds of delay.
How are you real?
How are you real? I don't... Okay, fuck. I don't... They brought you here.
You are real.
Yeah, you're real. And they brought you here. And they're trying to fuck with me. Nice try.
Good try.
Good try.
Get it. It's part of the test.
It's difficult.
Number 8. Didactic audiovisual translation.
What if we go one step further and instead of consuming dubbing, subtitles, and audio descriptions, we produce them? It sounds fun, but does it have any educational value? Let's ask someone who knows.
En el caso de los productos con traducción audiovisual, se llama traducción audiovisual didáctica, la TALFA, ¿no? Ha recibido incluso un término. Lo que se intenta es que no solo sea de recepción, como esto que tú planteas, ¿no? Estoy en casa, me pongo Netflix y ¿qué hago? Sino que se usen los productos audiovisuales también de forma proactiva para aprender traduciendo. En el aprendizaje de lenguas se pasó de moda lo de aprender traduciendo frases, ¿no? Entonces se puso de moda ese enfoque comunicativo que parecía reñido con el aprendizaje con la traducción. Parecía reñido porque no es que sea incompatible.
Bueno, hay como un poco un mito de que el método comunicativo es solamente input y nada más, ¿no?
La traducción al final es una forma de comunicación también, es que no es contracomunicativa.
Totalmente.
¿Sabes? Y entonces le puedes motivar poniéndole un encargo real, porque subtitular es un trabajo real.
Great, but we talked about audio descriptions and its potential before. Can we produce our own descriptive audios to learn a language?
La audiodescripción tiene una característica que a mí me encanta para el aprendizaje de lenguas. Primero, te permite muchísima creatividad. Por ejemplo, se practica mucho con cortos mudos. Claro, ahí tienes mucho margen de maniobra, porque en una audiodescripción profesional de cualquier producto que sí que tenga diálogo sonoro, tienes espacios donde tienes que encajar tu audiodescripción, pero en un corto sin sonido, pues ahí puedes ir, ¿no? Todos en el colegio, incluso de nuestras lenguas maternas, nos han dicho, ahora vamos a hacer el texto descriptivo. Entonces, describe tu casa. No es lo mismo, si lo piensas como tarea, ¿no? Decirle a un estudiante, haz la audiodescripción de este momento, pues yo qué sé, de Cruella de Vil, de los 101 dálmatas, que implica muchos matices y tal. ¿Cómo describirías esta escena a una persona ciega? Es un encargo muy real y es algo con lo que un estudiante puede conectar más fácilmente que con que solo le digas, describe este personaje, punto.
I'm looking forward to reading your feedback in the comments. Do you use movies to learn? Have you found this video useful? Have you learned something new? Do you have any other tip to share with us? Let's continue talking in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe, join, share, like y todas esas cosas que dicen los youtubers. Chao.